Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Welcome back to the Don Pod. Preseason is done. The next game the Essendon Football Club will play is in round 1. Well, actually, it's round 0, but anyway. Welcome back. I am joined by Nathan for this review of Geelong versus Essendon. Hello to you.
Hello, Sam, and hello, everyone out there. Hope you're all going well and looking forward to the upcoming season when we win a premiership.
Essendon, 17 goals, 2. 104. Defeat the Geelong 12-11-83. In front of about 4 people down there at Cutting.
So it was a bit of a crowd.
It was all right, but that whole far side and other end were empty. Bit of a weird look. Anyway, going to bring the vibes up. I feel like I'm a bit flat right now. CadKo kicks 4. Caddy kicks 3. It's the Caddy show. Not the Caddy show. It's the CadKo show. Or as I've now called them, CadKo kicked 7.
I hope it sticks, but I don't have a lot of confidence in it sticking, so good luck.
CadKo's great. Fair enough. Martin, Gresham, Durham, Perkins kick 2, and the 2 ruckmen, Draper and Bryan, kick 1 apiece. Where do we start?
At the beginning?
Okay, good. Yep, all right. Pants on or off? That's what you've got as the first point.
Well, pants on and off is a reference to, like, it's a bit like lid on, lid off.
Yeah, one's probably more traditional in the footy world.
Well, all I was thinking of there is, so I know it's preseason, I know all that sort of stuff, and we had our preseason thing, and I was pretty down.
We were.
I was like,
both of us. Yep.
Both of us thought, well, probably me some more. I think I dragged you down with me. But I was like, where are we going to be? I don't feel very good about it. But and then we played the Doggies in more of a practice match than this one.
Scratch match.
Yeah, scratch match. And I thought we looked pretty good. Like there was some, moments when I thought, hey, look, this Sardis, the shield off the back line, that all worked, Things like that looked good. And then this week we played Geelong, who... That reference at the start was that they have beaten us for so long. Like, I remember it was round 1, 2022, when they flogged us in, like, that opening round. Like, just touched us. Like, I think it was 60-some points. Like, it was horrible. And, so I just can't remember a time when we've really beaten them.
That was the best day of my life, just about, when we got done by them by that much.
Why?
It's my cricket grand final that I won.
Oh, right. Well, there you go.
My only sporting achievement in this life.
But anyway. So, and then we go to Geelong. We play them. And look, that first 5 minutes were unreal. There were moments when they were good. And then at the end of the game, you and I went, well, look, this is not bad. This is pretty good. And we'll go into more detail. But that was a good Geelong side playing. There's no reason why you can't walk away from that. I know you can say it's a pre-season game, but that was about their best team.
Yep. So, good point to bring up. Geelong were missing Bailey Smith and Cam Guthrie. Of note, other guys. Sean Manor was...
Yeah,
but
I'm sure there's others, but...
There's others. Main ones being Bailey Smith and Cam Guthrie. And we were missing Parish Redmond right for most of the game because he played VFL, but we're not even sure he's in our best 22. Yep. Laverde didn't play for an unknown reason. Yeah.
Does anyone know why? Like we tried to do a bit of research on him today about injured or anything. Sam chased out or reached out to his friends who
reached out to a friend who does remind me quite often he went to school with Jaden Laverde.
And he didn't know. So
he didn't even know, because they don't keep in contact. He just likes to be cool by association. Yeah.
But the only thing there is that is he not playing because he's injured? That's fair enough. Is he not playing because maybe they've looked at him and thought, well, we need for us to be better to get guys like Hayes, definitely Reed, and guys like that get game time. And Pryor was the other one, I guess. Pryor's slightly smaller, not similar. He might have been replacing Redmond. I'm not sure, but he's a bit smaller Pryor. But, is that the direction?
I would venture a guess to say that it's not performance-based. Not yet. Not at this time of year. It's not the time to be dropping a guy because he's not very good. I think if he was fit, he'd be playing. That's my gut feel, but I could be wrong, of course.
But then Wright is another... If you could look at Wright and say he's clearly fit, but they've decided that, you said he played a half in the VFL, didn't you? Or?
Him and Edwards both played VFL, and then not much.
And then played
of the
first
AFL
quarter,
game.
first quarter a bit. We're not sure
Yeah.
of that game. They both only had like 30-odd% game time, both of them, didn't they?
And Edwards kicked 4 in the second half of that VFL game in a
Love the second
rousing
half.
comeback
Yep.
by Essendon to win that, actually. They were
Yeah,
down
so,
early.
I mean, we take from that, I read that as saying that I don't think Peter Wright's playing round one. That's how I read that.
Well,
Yeah.
we can have a chat about that, I think, now,
Yep.
particularly. We've seen some football. We did a bit of a guess when we hadn't seen football.
Yep.
Now we've seen football. So I think highlight the individuals to start with. Sardis did it again. Wasn't as polished, I didn't think. Wasn't quite as good in that game compared to the Dogs game, but was still very good with 31 touches, 15 kicks, 16 handballs, 10 clearances, which was the most by an Essendon player and the most on the ground as well, and half a kilometre gained.
It's a good way to do it. I like that.
Just
516 metres, that is half a kilometre.
throw it out there in that way. Yep. Hobbs, 29 disposals, 16 kicks, 13 handballs and 6 clearances, was very good as well.
Also, I forgot to mention there, 8 tackles.
8 tackles, good. What we come to expect from Hoblet, really. Harry Jones, not sure this would have happened too much in his career. 27 disposals and critically in that 12 marks, which is a very good option to have up the ground.
And I think he led us for intercept marks.
Yep, he was very good.
So him and Ridley were the top 2.
McGrath, 28 disposals, Shield 26. Again, I didn't think Shield was as impressive as the Dogs game, but again, fine. He's plenty of the ball. There was one time where he ran away from someone and then did a beautiful kick to a guy in a lead, sort of half forward. We both were like, oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Just a bit of
class. A couple of
class.
times they didn't use him either when I thought they should have, to be honest. But
yeah. And then the left one there deliberately. CadKo, 14 disposals, but 4 goals in a... It's probably too early for a breakout game, I'd suggest. But very impressive. Very... him and Caddy are the future, and it's no matter what you think about what 2025 season, where we're going to finish, all that, it's just bloody exciting, really.
Well, I think that could lead us on to the forward line discussion because with those two and this goes back to that Peter Wright, what we just mentioned earlier, that with those two scoring really well, looking very good, and then we'll say that Durham and Martin and probably Perkins, but he was a little bit more mid. They rolled through that other half forward line, we'll call it, and looked like. I've spoken about Durham, and I think his attributes as a forward is that he marks the ball so well above his shoulders. Like he's just really good above the head. Like and then when the ball hits the ground, he's a massive threat as well. And I think that's what you get with Martin. Martin, again, loves playing Geelong. Martin and Perkins and him really bring an element that we haven't had for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I have to... We spoke at length about our forward line at the end of the Dogs review, and I wasn't particularly for Durham.
Yeah, no, you were like midfield.
Predominantly forward. But he took one really great mark that I can recall under the pump. He nearly took a screamer.
Oh, that one he dropped, that specky that he was nearly touching the clouds.
I'm pretty sure CadKo kicked a goal from that. But anyway, I think it works. I'm just having a look. Your list of CBAs there, is that all inclusive or is that just the most?
No, that's all.
That's everyone. So there was no CBAs for Durham.
No.
Or
Martin.
Or Martin, which is kind of expected.
Yep.
But Perkins 5, as you say. Yep. So I think you can mix up those smaller players a little bit, and I can see your point now. I can see the value of Durham in that forward line. The conversation needs to be around the tools.
Well, that would be Draper and Caddy at the moment. And I don't know if Langford falls into that care, I'm not sure.
You're going to have a mix of... We're assuming we're going to play 2 rucks. So let's say the resting ruckman seems to be more Draper than Brian. I think Brian goes to the bench for the rest more than he goes forward, but Draper goes forward. That's fair to say.
That's fair.
So you got Draper and then any combination of Langford, Caddy, Peter Wright. Probably 3 of the 4.
Yep.
So you're going to have Langford. So it really comes down to then, is it going to be Caddy or is it going to be Peter Wright? I don't think both of them play.
Well, I don't think there's enough room for both of them because if you're playing Langford, Durham, Martin, Perkins, obviously CadKo and then Gresham, then yeah, there's too many spots in there. Like,
Forgot about Gresham.
yeah, forgot about Gresham. So yeah, they all can't fit, and I'm only going by the fact that Peter Wright played quarter and didn't look good, to be honest. Like, looked really bad. I don't know what he did in the VFL. Whereas Paddy took marks, well, did not at will, but if you're looking at the big guy, Draper's playing that big guy role as well as anyone of it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nicked a goal off CadKo, it seemed, but CadKo said it was touched, so
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have counted anyway.
But what about when he crashed the pack?
That was fantastic.
No, that's what I don't know if Peter Wright maybe would have done that, but I think that's the thing. Draper brings he knew he had to get to that contest and hit the pack.
He just had to fuck him up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it so well.
He did it perfectly.
And CadKo was just there at his feet going, right. I know, and it was so good to watch a small forward
be in the
front
right
and center,
spot. Yes,
front and center, big pack hits, boom. Oh, I've got the ball. Look at this.
fuck,
I'll just snap it through for a goal.
and
This
4
shouldn't be too
goals
hard,
straight. I mean, it was a very good night for kicking.
Yeah.
17 goals too, but yeah,
And he also, like, just to go back to he also kicked them in different ways. There was a couple of snaps. He took some on the lead, like he led up to some.
I don't think he kicked a goal from a set shot though.
Yes,
The 50 from the top of the square. Like,
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Don't know who I'm working with, people.
No, this is about Peter Wright. Don't know who I'm working with, people.
So
we're saying right now, despite our love and affection of Big Pete,
Yep.
not playing round 1.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You heard it here first.
And then to carry that conversation over to that midfield, like the CBAs that you were going to mention was that. So Sardis hit 26 of them, Hobbs 24, Caldwell 13.
Caldwell played about 40% game time, though. It's worth noting there.
That's right. And Merritt was down at 12. And interestingly, McGrath, like he did a bit in the Dogs game too.
He did 1 in the Dogs game, and I thought it was a stuffer.
But he did 7 in this one. Now, I think we've tried this before, haven't we, him in the midfield?
Well, he did that, and then we kind of had to put him in defence because he didn't really work out anywhere else.
Yeah, anyway, so...
I'm all for trying shit. This is the time to try things, so far fine.
But we're a week and a bit away from our first round, so trying shit, and then there's, how you want it to look around 1, like, or round 0, is that, this is what we're doing.
I think it's worth probably pointing out there that, what's his face? Sorry. Caldwell played, I just had it open there, sorry. Caldwell played 36% game time. Come round 0, he's not playing 36% game time.
Oh, no, God, no.
So he will attend more centre bounces, which means... So McGrath in the midfield may well have just been the fact that we wanted to rest the other guys, so we're going to chuck him in there because it's a body.
Of course, but does the question I'm getting to is, are Merritt's numbers changing? Like, is this the changing of the guard in that the team realises, or the Essendon Football Club realises that to go forward we can't rely on Merritt anymore. We know he's a superstar and he can go in there and do his job, but we have to get the exposure into Sardis and Hobbs and Parrish too when he gets back, but definitely Caldwell and Perkins and maybe Durham and little bits and like that stuff.
I don't think so. I think it's a preseason game and we're protecting
Merritt,
Caldwell, Merritt,
yep,
particularly, and we're also saying, well, hey, Sardis and Hobbs, this is your time. This is, make it really hard for us to get to that game against the Gold Coast and then go, fuck, what's our first centre bounce going to look like?
Yeah.
What's our first team going to look like? How are we going to pick these players in the midfield?
Yep.
So I would lean towards that being more the case than us going, you know what, Merritt, you just go and sit at half-back and we'll work out the rest.
Yeah, just run the full game out and get your fitness up.
I would say it's more of
we
a
don't want you
protection
risking anything.
Unless
That's fair enough.
Caldwell is injured, which I don't think he was.
No,
I think they're just managing the minutes of the other guys, and that means we're going to have to get a bit creative, i.e. McGrath, into those centre bounces. I doubt whether we'll see McGrath do those numbers season proper. Yep.
And just to put a couple of things too, so Geelong's CBAs were Bowes, 21, Atkins, Nevitt, young kid, Holmes, senior, well, not senior player, 4th year, 5th year player.
They really
and interestingly,
didn't they?
Stewart, 10.
He did a bit last year, actually.
Yeah, so just for fantasy people, if you're interested.
Yeah.
Dangerfield only attended 5, so I think his days as the midfield gun, I'm sure. 18 seasons into the competition, surely they're starting to wind that train down.
I mean, it could be the same thing. They're just looking after their Rolls Royce.
They've got to look after him for a lot longer, though.
Yep. Yeah, so it really has, for me, thrown up a lot more questions, particularly in the guts and probably a little bit in our defence as well. I'm very reasonably confident with what we're talking about with Peter Wright. I think that's what we'll see round one. It doesn't make sense that you'd be playing him in the VFL and then a little bit of AFL if the plan was to play him in round one. That's a bit silly.
Yep, I agree. Well, do you want to have the same conversation about the backline with Laverde and who comes in and out of that?
That's where I was going. So we've seen Zach Reid play 91% of that game against Geelong. We saw... Yeah, I know, right?
Miracles!
Ben Mackay played 76%. And
Pryor, he would have had high numbers
no, I'm talking
too.
keys here.
All right, sorry.
So,
Ridley.
Oh my God, man. Shush!
Sorry.
Ridley played 69%, nice. And Hayes, is the one I'm looking for, played 63%. So that's all reasonable game time. That's not, managing or looking after or just trying them out in a particular position. So the fact that Hayes particularly, because he's the one on the fringe for me, hasn't played VFL, like that Peter Wright scenario, hasn't gone VFL to AFL, he's in the mix.
Yeah.
I quite liked that back line of the tall being Mackay, who was a bit poopy but got better as it went on.
It's a bit poopy. He had a horrible moment.
Yeah, a couple of horrible moments.
A couple.
Him and Peter Wright could maybe hold like one mark between 10 attempts between them. So Hayes, Mackay and Reid. Reid, I thought, was quite solid.
Oh, he had a couple of bad moments too.
He was out-muscled a few times, but that's going to happen when you're 21 and 2 metres tall.
Well, he's only played like 9 games.
Yeah, not having a go.
And Neil, who he was playing against, the one that out-muscled him a couple of times, he's a pretty big boy too. And I think that's one thing that Reid just needs to play footy and get that body strength.
Yep. And what was good to see too, Hayes played on Cameron for a bit. Cameron kicked his 2 goals when he was playing on Hayes, but both times it was just a perfect kick into the pocket where Hayes was running at full pelt, so was Cameron, and the kick went straight to Cameron's chest. You can't do anything about that.
Yep.
And then the second one cleared a packs ever so slightly, and Cameron took like a slips catch. Again, not a lot you can do in that scenario.
No, and the one he kicked from that pocket was phenomenal.
I'm just talking about how it got there more than the goal.
Yeah, but
itself.
the kick, even kicking the goal,
kick was nice.
He's a very good player.
How good for a kid like Lewis Hayes, never played an AFL game, to come in and play on Jeremy Cameron, one of the better players of the last decade.
Yep.
Great.
Well, as I said to you last night about him, I said, well, he's just won the VFL best and fairest. So really, you look at that and you think, well, do we send him back to the VFL? He's obviously can do that job. Yeah, he's good enough there. Sorry, when I say VFL best and fairest, the team VFL best and fairest, not the league. So he's very good back there. So you have to start giving him that AFL experience, and that might be at the expense of Laverde.
I hope it is, to be truthful. I think we're a better side if that's the case. The interesting thing you and I looked at earlier was what's the small makeup of this defence going to be? So Shield seems to be locked in that sort of centre-half back role, which is funny to say, but he was coming in off the back of the square to the centre bouncers.
Yeah. That's it.
McGrath and Redmond you'd think would make up the rest, but then you've got a guy like Pryor, who was quite good last night, probably particularly early on, was quite good, involved and put his body on the line and doing all the right things. You've got Archie Roberts, who's played both AFL practice matches, hasn't played in the VFL.
Nope. And played the last, 6 games last year? So
and got the number 21, so he's obviously rated by
someone. They obviously think something of him.
Yeah. So that makeup will be quite interesting. Yeah. You and I looked at the midfield depth today a little bit and went, if another one gets injured, it gets a bit thin. Setterfield was quite good. That's probably the main one on the fringe.
But Setterfield was a good player. Like he's just pushed out because of age and speed. Like he's a bit slow. Yeah, he's a bit slow, but he gets the ball. I think he led the AFL at one stage last year in clearances. He was
our best stoppage clearance player.
Yeah, that was it. That's good enough. Leading the AFL, the same thing.
He might have led the AFL in terms of averages.
Probably. So he's still a handy player, but we don't think he makes the 22. But we talked about this, that without Parrish and him, they're the sort of, we don't think they play round one. Parrish, well, I'm assuming Parrish doesn't with the injuries. He hadn't played a game.
They're a bit unsure, aren't they?
Well, I don't think you bring him back in for round zero. Sorry, I think he'd have to have some game time, VFL or something before you play.
Excuse me.
It'd be too much of a risk.
Yeah, agreed. What I want to mention now is our ruckman, and particularly, and this is you rubbing off on me.
Oh God,
Nicky Boy Bryan, who played 49% time on ground, scored 97 fantasy.
That was.
Now I'm not very good at maths, but that's about 200.
He plays the whole game. Yeah, I get you.
17 disposals, kicked a goal, 14 hit-outs, no clearances for him. But just again...
Marks was the other thing. I think he took a few marks.
Yes, sorry.
No, that's
9 marks.
great.
Yeah. So, really good game from him. We really seem to be running Draper ragged in the first
that was
quarter.
an interesting strategy, wasn't it? We watched that and watched
Bryan
Draper...
didn't play the entire first quarter.
Sat on the bench and laughed at a few when they came off a bit knackered. He's like, oh, you guys are pooped.
You look a bit pooped, yeah.
You should really try the bench.
But between them, Draper and Bryan, 2 goals between them, 32 touches and 39 hit-outs. And we were plus 13 clearances. And interestingly, only plus 3 centre and plus 10 stoppage against a team who is very good at that.
Yeah, and this is the other thing too. Just another pointless fact: so we scored 100 points against a team that I think it's very hard to score 100 points against.
I have to put a little asterisk on that. 17 goals too.
It's still 100 points.
I know it is.
What your
right.
theory is still
Shut
100 points.
Yep.
So I think they work really well as a rucking pair too because they're quite different. In that Draper's a bit more of a crash and bash and. We do talk about with Draper when he's in the ruck. Sometimes he gets the footy, like sometimes he takes it clear out of the ruck.
So yeah, you're right. Not centre clearances. It just seems to be when he's in the forward line, he wants to do everything himself, and he did it once where all of our mids spread away from him, and then he tried to take possession. Like, brother, there's no one even near you. Like, you have not read the room at all. And Geelong went and kicked a goal down the other end on a super fast break. And I was like,
yep.
If you just tap it.
He just needs to tap it, or if he gets possession, handball. Like, handball's a ruckman's best friend.
Taking possession out of the ruck is fine if you're not against anyone, pretty much.
Oh, well, the
and
Nick
then
Bryan
there was
moment
one time where Nick Bryan should have and didn't. And we were like, oh, for God's sake. So...
Yeah, but it's reading the room, obviously. But he just needs to learn to handball a little bit more. Whereas I think Nick Bryan, I watched that game last night, and they used him a lot in a handball chain because he could take a mark. He shows that a few times, and then he could handball long or kick, and he was even I think he missed one target I can remember, but a few times he kicked a little 40, 30 meter pass and hit the target. Took a mark, kicked it forward, and you think. That's a get out of jail free. Like a guy that's as tall as him takes a mark, turns around and passes the ball another 30 metres on. Like that's beautiful. That's what we haven't had. That's what I expected Peter Wright to be able to do. Get up on a wing, take a mark, turn around, kick it to another guy, keep going. So that was exciting for me.
Yes, and you would remember how often he was involved in a handball possession chain because I cry every time we handball to a ruckman.
You do, and you whinge about it too.
Handball
to the ruckman.
Shits me.
Like you
I was a coach.
He's free.
No,
he's
no. I'd rather turn the ball over because that's all that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, that's just nasty.
I really don't like handballing to ruckman.
Fair enough.
Anyway, the other thing I found interesting was we were plus 64 disposals, which we were a bit not guilty, but we did that a lot last year. We won the disposal count. However, plus 70 kicks, I spelled kicks wrong, I've called it kids, plus 70 kicks and minus 6 handballs. And I thought we were really guilty of over handballing.
That could be like in that last, 5 minutes. There was a moment there.
Boosted a little bit.
Yeah, would have boosted a little bit.
Geelong gave up entirely.
But we play a pretty different, I would argue that Geelong, they ran the ball really quickly from the back half to their forward half and split us open many times. So I felt like that happened a lot.
A couple of times, yeah.
Many times. Whereas we sort of passed it around trying to get a bit of space on a wing, tried to I guess open them up so then we might be able to go through the middle. But in doing so we kicked it side to side a lot.
as a differential, -6 handballs, when I thought we overpossessed a lot, I thought that's a bit of a surprise. That's all. Not a good or bad thing necessarily. We're -11 inside 50s, which is very different to how we rocked and rolled last year. And -10 free kicks, which just made me laugh more than anything else.
Well, we were frustrated with the free kicks.
There was a couple where we were like, that just
Was-
should have been holding the ball. Just should have been holding the ball. There was 2 or
I even
3.
heard Rewalt commentate say, well, that was a free kick. You know, like...
Was it Rewalt? Oh, yeah, Jack, not Nick.
Yeah, Jack
of course.
Rewalt, yeah.
I don't have the commentary on. I listen to your commentary.
Don't ask people how we do this. It's cutesy.
Yeah.
We watch it together and then look through Zoom at each other. And
Well, I watch the footy normally. I listen to you, which
yeah.
is questionable. There's a reason we do a
You have
podcast,
to listen to me because I talk all the time.
not commentary. We do a podcast for a reason. Yeah.
So, moving on to the game next Thursday. Positive, we haven't heard any injuries.
Next Saturday?
Saturday? Yep, the first game's on Thursday. Sorry, my bad. It's roundo. We haven't heard any injuries, have we?
Not out of last night, no. Durham had a bit of a funny moment with his ankle, but played out the game. I figure if there was anything wrong, they would have wrapped him in cotton wool. Other than that, didn't see anything. So and I've put a post on our little Facebook page asking for predictions for 2025 now, because I figure we've all seen football. We all actually now should have a bit more of an idea of what we're expecting to see.
Yep.
So I'll ask you first. We did the season preview.
Yep.
And you said...
Said 4th last or something like that, didn't I?
Yeah, you weren't particularly high up. I said 11th. Do you want to amend that at this point in time? This is the last chance you'll get to change it.
I mean, I don't mind being wrong. That's not a thing. I'm not expecting to be right. Look,
Story of your life.
I still probably believe that even though I was really happy with us last night, we're still a pretty young group, and a couple of injuries could decimate us. So I'll stick with whatever I've said. I'm happy to stay with that and be wrong.
Read the room.
Oh, sorry. Second, Premiership
Thank
2
you.
next year.
Thank you.
I was very happy with this. Like it was, but
I
I've burnt a lot of times, Sam.
Yeah, that's the problem, and you'll see from the Facebook comments that that's a problem. I am happy with my 11th shout because I probably went a little bit higher than what I truly thought anyway. So I'm happy if we can get to like round 18, 19 and be in the conversation for finals still, and not have dropped away and
Sounds
faded
like every
completely.
year, though, doesn't it?
It does, but it's a growth period. It's fun.
Yep.
But if CadKo
still trying,
can carry that forward line, oh boy.
Well, I'll tell you what excited me was the fact that the best players we're talking about after that game
Our kids.
Well, yeah, that's right. Asadis, it was CadKo, it was
Sorry,
what?
I'm holding my daughter's
glow sticks.
glow sticks. Can we talk about the commentary and the pronunciation of these names?
Quickly, yes.
Satis.
He did
was
say that,
thrown
didn't
out.
he?
Satis. CadKo was
Couple of different
Carco,
ones.
and then it was CadKo, but then it was also like Carco.
And Cloesi.
There was one geezer who was I'm sure they had a bet
He was making stuff up.
before the game to try and say as many names wrong as possible.
Yep.
It was bizarre. Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, well, I was just saying that the best players we talked about, Sardis, Hobbs, CadKo, even,
Jones.
I think even Jones, that's right, Durham, Martin, and
Durham.
Perkins, they're all under 25, all these guys we're talking about, and I think that's the really exciting thing. Whereas, I think we probably would have been excited if Stringer kicked 4. We go, Stringer's kicked 4, he's in for another big year. We go,
Leading the training standards at GWS.
Sam, please tell me what you read.
That's all I know. That's all I heard. That's all I've seen. But I'm assuming he rocked up and trained by himself. That's the only way he's leading the...
Say the quote again.
He's leading the training standards.
At GWS.
At GWS Giants. So he must have trained alone. There's no other explanation for that.
The standards must be worse than ours. Let's all be. I'm sure Jake wasn't the worst trainer. I'm not.
He certainly
saying
wasn't
that,
leading the
but
frickin' standards.
He wasn't leading the standards.
On that, there was an interesting... the club had a bit of a media day the other day because of this membership push.
Yep.
And Brad Scott read a quote that was like, CadKo or someone was training so hard and so well and rah rah rah. But
Caddy it was.
okay, one of them. The point that he made was now that's celebrated rather than ridiculed. Yeah, isn't that? It's almost like teacher's pet. Like if they were training hard and trying to be good, they got ridiculed for it. What
is that a culture at our club? You're saying?
I'm fairly certain it was Brad Scott that said that.
That's if that's true, that's fascinating. You're right, because you're right. That is implying that we were like,
well, how is it not true coming from the head coach? Like,
yeah, who wants to be the best trainer?
What a loser. Whereas I think Zach Merritt, for example, wants to rock up and be the best every time, all the time. Anyway, I found that very fascinating.
Yeah, no, that is.
I'm going to read some comments about the predictions, and I really find this funny because it just sums us up, really.
Yep. Okay.
So Daniel Emmy, by round 3, we're premiership favourites. By round 6, we're third last and finish 12th.
That's spot on. I agree with that one.
And then Regan, the three-peat will happen. Good first half of the season and then off the cliff. So it'll be the third year of doing that in a row.
I feel like that's what I'm expecting. Like, I can't help but have that fear, Sam.
I really love those comments because it just sums it up so well. Phil, our mate Phil, we're going to both start and finish the season well. We'll get a surprise win on Anzac Day. I don't think it's a surprise. I don't really rate Collingwood anymore. And complete the double with Dreamtime. Miss finals by percentage, but it's all about the future, is what Brad Scott will say. 1,043,724 times this year. Thank you for that very precise number, Phil. Sorry. I've got to stop saying. Brett, our mate Brett. Everyone knows Brett. If you don't think you know Brett, you've seen Brett. He's very passionate.
Have I seen Brett?
He's always on the tally, running down the aisles and giving it forward to the umpires.
Oh, right, yes.
The fence.
Yep.
We love you, Brett. Happy with the result tonight, even though it's only a pracky game. Commented on the straight kicking, 17-2. High scoring. Bring on opening round, home and away season. We play like this. We win 12 games to make finals.
I think we'll still struggle to beat Gold Coast. They didn't lose a game up there.
Can you just read the room for 3 minutes? Trying to bring the mood up.
I'm very bad at this.
We've been talking for half an hour. I reckon you've been talking for 25 minutes of it.
Oh, sorry. It's not called the Sam Pod, is it?
I mean, at this point, it's the Nathan Pod.
Oh, sorry for giving input, Sam.
Yeah, no, God forbid. And you've done everything tonight. You did the run sheet. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got to run this show without you. I just don't know how to do the technical stuff.
Sean Coffin says our biggest focus needs to be percentage. I don't hate that as a theory because it means we're going to be conceding less, which is what we need to do.
We just need to defend. Like our points against needs to not be the fourth worst like it's been the last 3 years.
Yeah. And then Dylan.
Dill.
Big deal. As a Don supporter, I want to say we finished 9th to 11th. We'll have a good year, but we'll drop off again as the kids are going to have a good year. And the kids are going to have a good year. Don't see us in the top 8. Hope I'm wrong, but with such a young side, we'll give us a year or two and we'll make finals. It's interesting, this whole narrative around being young, because like I think a team like Fremantle, I believe, is younger than us. Hawthorn, I believe, is younger than us.
Yeah, I think so too, yep.
It's a fascinating narrative. I tend to agree with it in that kids by nature will be a bit more inconsistent. They'll fluctuate.
Yep.
But it's at this point in our football watching life of Essendon in 2025, that's got to be what we're paying the most attention to.
Yep.
How is Caddy going? How is CadKo going? How are all these kids that we have such high hopes on, how are they performing?
I think with the Hawthorn example and that sort of stuff is that what a young group of players, and Freo probably have had this at stages too, what can happen with a young group of players, and it happened with Essendon way back, is that they can all of a sudden gel and get that motive. They win a few games, your motivation or your mindset becomes, geez, we're fucking unreal here at the moment, boys. We're unreal. And that just drives you game and game and game. You think you're going to win everything. Like kids, you know what they're young kids, they just think they're invincible. And that's probably what happened to Hawthorn last year. They just got on a roll, believed in themselves and kept winning. If I
can interject there, because it's a really great point that you make. Because when we were sitting there last night and actually communicating rather than you just swearing at them.
What did you say about me?
I'm going to say I mentioned it because I did. Synergy. There was just times where we just didn't quite read the room of what was happening, whereas Geelong, that was quite an obvious difference to me. They knew what each other were doing a bit better, and we smashed them clearances first quarter, but after that it was probably a little bit more even. There were times where we got first hands on the ball, but made the wrong choice, read it wrong, went the wrong way, did whatever, whereas they just didn't do that. So I think that's really actually quite a big part of improving, is spending some time playing footy together.
100%. Well, it would be the first time that Reed, Mackay and Ridley have played together, because Ridley didn't play that round one last year, did he?
I do not recall.
I think he was. Anyway, if he did play, then he played one quarter of football together. Like they haven't. There's an example of guys.
And then you throw Hayes into that as well. Yeah,
of course you throw Hayes. And in the midfield, Sardis, Hobbs, and Merritt would barely have played in the midfield together. So. And in the forwards, you could say the same. Caddy, CadKo, and Durham have never played together. So it's a great point that you're bringing up. And that showed off in little moments when two Essendon players would go pick the ball up and neither one knew who was picking it up, or they'd spoil each other. Like when they were both going for the ball, they'd both tap it like into each other and, who's taking this? Whereas Geelong have got that experience, have played with each other for 150 games each and just know what other one's doing.
Yeah. It's quite possible they've got good synergy as well, because they're all twins with their long hair and headbands. It's unreal.
Look about them. Do they all sit in like the club room and go, so long hair and a headband?
That's in this year, right?
We're all doing that, aren't we?
Yep. Dempsey, De Koning.
I can't even
Guthrie,
tell the difference between them either. Yeah.
There's heaps. There's more than three.
I feel like there's more than three. I feel like there's 15 of them. But the Ruckman does it too. What's his name?
Blitzards. Don't make me say it. Yeah.
They had a fair of them. Yeah,
the one name I struggle with. Struggling with names is your one thing.
Blitzards.
I can't say it. I just
anyway.
can't do it. Yeah, him. Mark.
Marky B.
Marky B. Dickhead.
So I think that the Gold Coast game will be a great challenge for us.
So let me give you a hypothetical. And this is just to try and perk me up more than anything else.
Yep.
We beat Gold Coast.
Yep. Then we win the next three.
And then we beat Hawthorn.
Yeah, well, if we beat Gold Coast, we beat Hawthorn.
Okay.
Because then we play Adelaide and somebody else.
Do we change our opinion? Like, at what point will we sit there and go, holy shit, maybe we've turned a corner? Because we've had this test for the last 2 years. Last year, we were top two halfway through the season. And we still, me and you more so, sat there and went, it's coming, boys. Settle down.
When we've won 14 or 15 games in a year, that's when the corner's turned.
That's when you'll actually believe. All right, fair enough.
It can't be. It can't be based on 3 games. Can't be
one game. Yep.
Can't be 1 game or 3 games or beating Hawthorn. Big whoopty. I mean, I don't think Hawthorn will make the 8. I think that I still think they might come back a little bit and be a really good side next year and the year after that. I think that's my prediction for them.
I was actually going to make that point earlier. Sorry. About young teams coming up, going down. Melbourne did it. Melbourne were prelim finalists, finished second last, won the premiership.
Yep. Bulldogs.
Doggies won the flag probably prematurely, and then...
Yeah, because Hawthorn did it back in their first leg.
They won it in 08 and then missed 09, Yep. It happens.
It's happened before.
And that's why I'm on Freo this year, because I think they'll bounce back.
Yep. So that's my only theory, is that not many teams, even Essendon, when we were the baby bombers, I don't think we were competitive the year after that in 90.
No, it took us 7 years.
In 93, we won that in 93, and then we didn't. 2000, we were back. That's just I'm not saying I'm right, but that happens a lot.
Not saying I'm right, but I'm right.
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. So anyway, if we do beat Gold Coast, I think I think the energy in and around the room will be, we can beat Hawthorn at back of the MCG.
Do Hawthorn play opening round?
No.
Okay, so again, dealing in
hypotheticals. I think that's an advantage for us.
Dealing in hypotheticals is never good. They do play opening round, you moron. They play Sydney.
Damn it.
So if they beat Sydney, grand finalist, and we beat Gold Coast, that actual round one clash is going to be huge, isn't it?
If they beat Sydney, then yeah.
Well, Sydney could I can see where Sydney start poorly.
I actually see it at the opposite. I see where they have to start well, because they have to be motivated from that grand final. They can't come out and put out a shit game round 1. Oh, sorry, round 0 after that grand final. Surely that video gets played to them before the game.
That can have the
come on, boys.
Effect.
This is what you put in. I want you to crack in that first bounce. Crack in.
You haven't seen Ted Lasso, have you?
Yeah, I've seen Ted Lasso.
Oh, have you? I thought you
I
had.
told you to watch Ted Lasso.
All right. Settle down. You give yourself.
Arrogant little bastard.
I thought you hadn't watched it because I feel like we would have talked about it. Anyway, when they showed the players the video of Nate the
I know
Great
what
taking down the sign, and then they just go out and get absolutely thumped. I think
But
that's really
different. Yeah.
It is different, I know, but it that sort of negative motivation can have the opposite effect, I feel.
This is more about your last performance was shithouse. You have to redeem yourself.
Negative motivation.
This was about yours. What you're talking about is anger.
Yeah,
this is about you can't let that performance come out again.
It's using a negative thing, i.e., you've lost a grand final by 10 goals.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway, yeah,
You can put a bet on it.
I'm the coach here, not you. You're the player. I'm the coach. You should know that.
Let's wrap this up.
Aw, didn't. All right, we will preview the Gold Coast game. We'll ride the wave and the excitement while we can. So there'll be a preview podcast for that, and then obviously straight back into.
I don't know it. That's a long weekend, isn't it? The Monday's a public holiday, isn't it? Isn't it the 10th? Yeah, 10th's a holiday. Yeah, beauty. So we can do that like Sunday.
That's right. I've got a show on when we're playing. I'll only catch the first bit of it.
Oh, this is embarrassing, people.
I booked
Round
that show.
First game, and he's
ago.
not even watching it. Everyone, what are you all doing? We'll be watching it, won't we? Yes, we will, people. Anyone want to do a podcast with me next week?
I booked my tickets to this show 6 months ago or more, so you can rot. Ironically, I'm going to Geelong to watch it.
Why is that ironic? The game's in Gold Coast.
No, well, just because we played Geelong this week.
Okay, yep.
It's not Melbourne.
Quite how irony works.
It's a bit of a novelty that it's not in Melbourne, that's all. Right? Shut the fuck up. I'm sick of this, man. We spoke all night last night. We've spoken a bit today. I'm over it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
To be honest.
One whole season to go. And we've said the year we win a flag, we're out.
We're doing this until we win a flag.
We're not going to we don't see the point.
You're going to be in your 90s in a nursing home.
I'll probably have a heart attack during the game, let's be honest.
That's how I think I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Same.
I just be so stressed. Please, if I'm ever in a grand final, wherever in a grand, please don't be a close one. Please don't be a close. Let us win by 10 goals, please.
Yep. All right. I think we've waffled enough.
Yep.
We'll wrap it up there. If you're still listening, well done. We went right off the rails there. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, we'll be back with a preview pre-opening round. And go CadKo.
Thomas. Go CadKo.